Hello, Charlotte. I'm very happy to answer the questions you sent me about the Stonewall liberation movement, my activism as an AIDS activist, and my work as an artist. My name is Hunter Reynolds. I am an artist, a visual artist, working with photography, performance art, sculpture, and mixed media. I have been a gay most of my work deals with my experience as a gay man living in the age of AIDS. I've been HIV positive and a person with AIDS for 28 years. I'm a long-term survivor, is what they call it. And I'm going to start with your first question. What did the Stonewall mean to you as a gay American? Has it influenced the choices you made for your life? Well, yes. So I am 53 years old. I came out as a gay teenager in 1974 at the age of 14. This was 4 years after the Stonewall Revolution, the Stonewall Riot, 5 years. And the influence of that generation who were 5 years older than me in the Stonewall Revolution influenced where I lived. So I lived in West Palm Beach, Florida, and at the time, the gay movement, uh, a lot of men and gays and lesbians would come down to work in seasonal Florida bars and restaurants. And so I would meet them because I lived 2 blocks from the gay public beach. And this really influenced me, meeting these older men who were part of the New York Revolution. And I was a struggling teenager with my sexual identity at the age of 12 and 13 and 14. I kind of knew. And these people, and I understood and heard about that revolution living in Florida at the age of 14 because I was around and meeting these older gay men who were there and part of that experience. I was on the verge of committing suicide and very depressed, and you know that the second highest rate of teenage suicide is still, and was then, gay and lesbian teenagers. So they gave me the strength, and I somehow found out about a book, and I went to the library and found this book, The Front Runner, about a gay athlete, written by Patricia Warren Neal. So at the age of 14, I came out. I was on the football team, and it gave me the strength to come out as a gay teenager, and I started the first gay and lesbian unofficial student union in my high school in 1974-75. And this experience was quite profound for me, and I ended up telling my family, and at the age of 15 I left home because my family couldn't deal with my openly gayness teenage self. So I went to California and went to art school and survived as a young teenager on my own out in California. And this experience is something that a lot of teenage kids go through, even still and now in this day and age, 40 years, although we've made tons of advancements, it's still very, very difficult for young people to come out. There are a lot more services and idols and help places to reach out for help, but it's still a very difficult thing for kids to do. And with bullying, it's very also, compounded with internet bullying. So, yeah, so that was my experience and how the original Stonewall Revolution gave me the strength to come out as a young teenager in 1974, before you and many of a long time ago. But yeah, so that also led me to have this courage and strength I was aware of the 60s war revolution as a young boy, but it wasn't really something that close to me other than my friends, brothers and sisters going off to war or coming home dead. I mean, I wasn't really aware of, except through television as a young boy. So the Stonewall Revolution and its influence on me as a young teenager was my first experience with kind of taking the power we have as Americans to fight for our rights. And I just did it individually, but that later came to influence my experience as an AIDS activist. So in 1987, I joined ACT UP at the beginning of the AIDS activist movement. I had already been positive and a person with HIV since 1984. I had many, many friends who were sick and dying, and in the art movement in New York, I became active with ACT UP, and this experience really connected to the revolution of the war resistance movement. The people in ACT UP were able to come together in a very diverse group of collection of people, all under the umbrella of wanting to change the way, just stay alive and fight for our rights. So as an American, I learned from being a member of ACT UP how to stand up for our rights ourselves. We were part of this huge movement of AIDS activism where demonstrations and protesting actually backed up by the brilliant sort of construction of people involved with the various aspects of ACT UP. And as you know, there's two documentaries out this year, United in Anger, which is sort of a collection of the oral history project of ACT UP. If you go online, you can find this project where people are telling the history of the various aspects and complexities of the ACT UP group. And United, How to Survive a Plague, which was just nominated for an Academy Award, both tell these different stories of ACT UP and its history, and we're now 25 years into the history of ACT UP, and there are many people still surviving and telling the stories, so I highly recommend you look at these documentaries this year. But for me, the experience was very profound. It made me understand that we as Americans do have the power to change and influence our government. And ACT UP was an amazing example of that. And we took the fight to the streets. I was involved with a lot of the art-related committees and projects of the group. I started my own activist group, co-founded my own activist group called Art Positive in 1989, which fought censorship and homophobia in the arts as it related to AIDS. And this experience with connecting to the war resistance movement, other activist movements, ACT UP was really able to take the power of not only the propaganda of demonstrations and getting out there and laying your bodies in the street and doing die-ins and getting arrested, but backing that up with people who could go in and negotiate things with the government. And so that's what happened with clinical trials. And in this documentary, Spencer Cox and TAG, the affinity group, which the documentary is about, and how that all developed. It's a very fascinating, interesting, complex story of our group. And the group was, ACT UP was instrumental in developing the clinical trials and getting them sped up, and access to treatments and drugs sped up, and approval processes sped up. We actually changed our city government. I am benefiting now from benefits that we fought for under the Department of Aid Services, where we created and fought with the city of New York to create a central organization called HASA DAS, Department of Aid Services, to give people access to these various Medicaid, healthcare, rent assistance, um, helping people find housing. It's a service that doesn't exist anywhere else in the country except New York City, and ACT UP helped create it. So I am benefiting 25 years later from the benefits we helped fight the city for. So taking your rights and taking uh, the power you have as an individual within a group structure is one of the most important things that I learned as being a member of ACT UP. Um, and I'm profoundly grateful for all the work that we've done, that many hundreds of people did in the group to help people like me stay alive and have the drugs that we're on now, that I'm on, that keep me alive. So, yeah, I think I answer one more question. What influence did Harvey Milk have on my life? Well, a big one. When I ran away as a 15-year-old teenager to Los Angeles, one of the first gay pride parades, there were two things out there that helped me as a young gay teenager on the streets of Los Angeles. It was Gay and Lesbian Community Center, which had just been established, and it was, I think, one of the first ones in the country next to New York. And this institution really helped me get a self-awareness as a gay kid on the street, living on my own, and helped me to get my GED and go eventually to college. And I remember, I think 1977, Harvey Milk was giving a speech at the Gay Pride Parade in Los Angeles, and it was just riveting and inspiring. And although he was from San Francisco and I never lived in San Francisco, every time he would come to Los Angeles to speak, I'd go hear him. And just a powerful man, and the amazing influence he had on all of the advancements of gay and lesbians in our country was just profound and amazing. And so I honor him, and I'm grateful to have actually, been present at a few of his speeches back in the 70s. And, the Harvey Milk High School, and yeah, just, I really am grateful to be alive at this point in gay and lesbian history, because I just thought I wouldn't be here to see gay marriage, gay high schools, gay and LGBT high schools, all the amount of entertainment, gay and lesbian, LGBT, transgendered people dealing with the myriad of diversity that we represent as LGBT people. I am just grateful to be alive now to witness it and be a part of it and be speaking to you, young people. And yes, so that is my story, and go forward with strength and conviction in everything that you do. You have the power to change yourselves and influence and, just fight for whatever it is you believe. And you can change, and you can change the government, and we have that power as Americans, and we can take it. So thank you, Charlotte. Goodbye, and I'm glad to have answered some of these questions for you. Thanks. Bye.